Metal Block, what's happening out there? So good to see you guys. Thank you for joining in. Another awesome show. We got some great metal. You know, it's what we do. Before we get started, though, go check out Brando, social media, see what's going on, see what we got going on the show. Also, see what he's posting out there, new metal that's just coming out. New releases all the time, every freaking day. So hard to keep up with. And if you just wake up going, what am I going to listen to today? If you're like me, you like listening to something new every day, you can go check us out. He's got an idea, a suggestion. So check that out. Also, learn about a new band, right? That's what it's freaking about. Check out some new music, listen to some cool tunes, learn about some new bands, man. And then tell your friends, right? Number one. So, gonna have a great time tonight, guys. We have Reeking Aura with us. Freaking A, man. This is so exciting. I don't know if you gotten a chance to check these guys out yet, but you're going to love them. I mean, if you're like me and you like melody, you like groove, you like songs that, you're not having to struggle to listen through, like they actually feel good too. I said, soothing in their brutalness was actually the first note that I wrote down, was like, I enjoy listening to this, man. This is freaking cool, And so I got a chance to dive in a little bit deeper since we knew they were going to be coming on the show. And that's whenever I really fell in love. So I'm going to stop talking so much. We're going to get to know them. And guys, why don't you go around and say who you are and what you do with the band? One of you guys just kick us off.
All right, I'm Rick. I'm the guitar player, one of the two guitar players. Yeah, I've been in the band since we kicked things off, and that's about it.
Yep, I'm Terrell, one of the other guitar players. I mean, the other guitar player, right? We've been two guitars for a while. Yeah, that's part of the lore. We were three-piece, three guitar, and now just two guitars for now.
All right.
I'm Will. I'm the vocalist of the band. Sorry, husband. Not much else to say about that, man. I'm the vocalist of Reeking Aura, and just really proud to be here with these guys and this lineup. I've been on every release, but most recent album is our strongest release for sure.
I'm Hudson. I'm the drummer, and we did the EP last year and then the new release, and those are the only two that I've been on. Been fun.
Well, it's killer. It's killer, man. Even Blood and Bone Meal, like I go back to that stuff. Like just not saying even like, even, but like meaning, just going back even further than the recent album, than the EP that came out, in 2025 with those couple of tracks to give you an idea of what was to come, So awesome freaking stuff, man. So everybody out there, like, don't just listen to the new thing. Make sure you go back in time and check them out from the beginning because it carries through.
Well, that was the idea of the EP we did last year, just to get, because we knew that there was going to be some time before the record had come out, so we wanted just to get something out there since we had a new lineup situation and new blood. So instead of waiting 2 more years for people to be able to hear that, we wanted to get a couple things out, and that's what that EP, Fires in Deep Frost, was about.
Yeah,
Makes
then
sense.
I have to. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I want to give credit to Hudson for doing the production on that EP.
Yeah,
Right.
we did that in-house. That was beautiful.
The record sounds better than what I did, so.
No, but that's still cool. That's still really cool because that's what today and the technology that we live in, it allows us to be able to do that kind of stuff. We talk about the goods and the bads a lot whenever it comes to the internet. Like, oh, kids don't go outside and play anymore. It's like, no, but we can record freaking killer death metal albums across the world, So,
Big time. I mean, I remember my first recording was done on 1-inch analog tape, and it was a very tedious thing to do, and now it can be very, very simple. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing, technology sometimes.
yeah, I say let's always pay respect to the 4-track Tascam recorder. Yeah.
Oh hell yeah! I had my what was it, the 412, or I forget what the, that standard awesome Tascam. I don't know what the hell happened to it. I think I lost it in a hurricane, but those are about $500 now.
I know, and I like called my parents and I was like, so is that thing still in the garage? And my mom was like, I think it is.
Nice.
And then she called me later and she's like, we can't find it. And I was like, it's okay. It's been 20 years, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
414, I think it was called. Yeah, those were awesome, those Tascam 4-tracks, man.
Like a necessity back then, you know what I'm saying? That was like the home recording, like at least had to have the bottom line. That was like the Scarlet, the Scarlet of nowadays.
That was all we had. There was no computer recording. I remember this software, Cakewalk, I believe it was called, came out, and that was like a big deal in like 1998. Yeah. I was like, oh shit, can my computer even run this? And the answer was no. And then, so there was a couple more years I had to wait to even be able to try a DAW, like a home, and but now it's just unbelievable. You got professional level studios just for $50 license. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like lifetime.
So,
Yeah. I mean, you got a lot of like buy-ups if you want to, get those plugins and whatnot. Which actually Apple is pretty cool. What is it? Logic? Is that the right one? Where they've got all these plugins. They've got all this it's just free. It just comes with it. I say free. I think you just buy Logic maybe, or maybe even Logic comes with Apple. I can't even remember, but it's cool stuff, that you can do out there with very, very little money. So yeah, man, guys, Reeking Aura, thanks for freaking joining us tonight, man. Yeah, dude, this is exciting. This is so cool. I'm excited for other people out there to get to check y'all out. So Brando's going to ask us a few questions and get us talking.
What's up, fellas? Zoomy said it. I'm gonna say it too. Welcome. We're glad you guys could join us tonight. We love to start out by learning about you guys individually and your history, or as I like to call it, your metal origin story. So, Terrell, why don't you lay it on us, man? How did you kind of get introduced to metal music, and then from that start like kind of playing it?
Yeah, it's a great question. Kind of got into it through a couple ways. Another, other people in my generation got into it was through video games. Specifically Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 and 3. Also Madden. Madden was big for me, and I heard a lot of like metalcore for the first time, post-hardcore, kind of stuff like that. Atreyu, Shadows Fall. So I was kind of like, all right, this is kind of cool. And then at the same time through school, I kind of like naturally got into metal through like just the bass line. I started with hard rock, acid rock, kind of went through all the years, got to Motorhead, Ramones, and just kind of kept upping. And I would say that's like mid 2000s. And it just started going to shows in 2008, kind of got into the scene through there, and eventually met some people. Like, first off, I ended up meeting Will online because I was a fan of his old band, Biolich. And I remember kind of hitting him up, and then he was doing a blog. And we met at a show at a venue called Santos Party House here in, I'm in New Jersey, but in New York, in Chinatown. And going back, that's like 16 years ago. So that was the first time I met Will, and ended up being in his band Buckshot Facelift, and that's where I met Rick. And that kind of starts the whole era of me playing with Rick, going back now to 2012, 2013.
Yeah, late 2012.
Yeah. So that was my first band ever. I was like kind of self-taught guitar. I played viola in school, and then I kind of just picked up guitar and then met these guys, and here we are 13 years later, still playing with these guys.
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Video games, man. Yeah, I heard some cool bands in video games. I mean, that's how I was introduced to Green. Well, at the time it was Green Jello. I think it's Green Jelly now, right? Didn't Jello like get pissed off at him or something? There was a game on Super Nintendo called Maximum Carnage. It was a Spider-Man game.
Red cartridge.
Mm-hmm. that was one of my favorite games. I never got to own it. I rented it like a million times though, and so I got introduced
also-
to some bands like that. That was cool.
And I have to give credit to YouTube for sure. That got me into stuff. And when I heard, specifically for death metal, when I heard Morbid Angel, like Altars of Madness, and I heard Death Human, like I heard the double bass of Flattening of Emotions, and it kind of just clicked. And then that was at least the death metal path for me.
Nice.
That's cool.
Morbid Angel was one of the earlier death metal bands that I kind of got into. It was like them and Nile. Nile put out Annihilation of the Wicked around that time, and Morbid Angel had Gateways to Annihilation. So like those were two of the ones that kind of started getting me into like going into the super death metal stuff. Like, so that's cool. Hell yeah, man.
So here's what's kind of funny too is Brando, whenever he was, we were both in college, I guess, and he had an Xbox, he would upload like CDs to or rip them onto the Xbox. And so we would play like Gears of War to Cannibal Corpse, and
Could do that. Yeah, that was sick.
yeah, I was trying to tell
360.
my son. Yeah, I was trying to tell my son about that. And
So I used to play, I can't even remember which baseball game it was, but there was a baseball game on Xbox 360 that I would play. One of my neighbors who was in a grindcore band there, Norman, would come over. We lived in the same apartment complex, and we would play what we call brutal baseball. So I would turn the volume up just enough so that you could hear like Neuraxis and Rotten Sound and Cannibal Corpse and stuff, but you could hear the commentators for the baseball game, and you could hear the pitch, and you could hear the bat hit the ball. So it was like just like kind of enough so that it was just kind of the soundtrack to the game, but you could still hear the whole game. So like that was like this is just so cool. It was a lot of fun.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I want to give you credit too for mentioning Neuraxis, one of my favorite bands. And right now
Oh,
I've been
man.
getting back into baseball, so
Oh yeah,
it just sounds like heaven,
dude. Trilateral Progression was like a huge influence on me. That album is insanely awesome. So, oh yeah, nice. Rick,
There you go.
lay it on us, man. What's your
Good
Yeah.
records, Huns.
That's
Yeah.
got 'em. All right.
Oh yeah, that's
All
the
right.
first album.
Yes.
Like the CD collector.
Maybe Passages.
Oh, yeah.
On Gailey Records.
I think if I remember correctly, Zoomy Greg told me this, and I don't know that I ever looked it up, but I think one of the vocalists of Despised Icon was the drummer on Trilateral
That's-
Progression, wasn't he? Like,
So it was Alex Arian who
Yes.
was on the first two records. So by the time
Okay.
they got to Trilateral, they had Tommy McKinnon. I don't know. Sorry,
Oh.
Neuraxis Nerd. But that always blew my
that's good.
mind.
Thank
That
you
this
for correcting me.
No, but like this dude went from drumming in Neuraxis to being the flat brim cap guy in Despised Icon.
Right?
Don't get me wrong, I do like some Despised Icon records, but like when I first heard that, I'm like, what the hell is happening? This man should still be drumming.
Has the world gone mad?
That's pretty wild. Wild stuff. Rick, what's your origin story, man? Lay it on us.
Well, at this point, I mean, it kind of feels like Amazing Fantasy number 15, like Spider-Man, like that far away, like in terms of time, because my origin story starts in like 1983. So, I mean, we're going back. Quiet Riot,
Nice.
Metal Health came out, and that was.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Have you turned 43 yet?
I turned 50 in a month from now. So.
Whoa, well, that's not 1983. My bad.
No.
my bad.
I'm saying that's when I got into this shit.
Oh, I gotcha.
So I mean, that's how old I am. You know what I mean? That's how crazy this shit is now, because I'll be 50 years old, and that's mine. That's fucking with my head a little bit. So Quiet Riot's Metal Health was the big deal in like 1983. and the radio was a big deal. So that was permeating all over the place. And Mental Health came out, and that was my first record. So that was given to me for Christmas that year. Also, I had a boom box given to me that year as well. So I had those two things for a couple months before I got into Iron Maiden. So once I got into Maiden in like early '84, it opened doors to other things, and I was off to the races, and that was it. I got into tape trading. I was into if you remember, online service called Prodigy. It was like around the time of AOL, before like CompuServe and things like this. And I was on Prodigy, and I was like 15, and that's where I met these dudes, and I would get into bands that I never heard of through tape trading. Because in the early '90s, finding out about good underground metal, it was not easy. It was not, unless you were really on top of the magazines and only certain magazines, certain underground magazines. How else? And word of mouth. So that's the only way you're gonna hear about stuff like that. So when I got onto online in like early 1992. So I've been online since 1992. That's where I got into all these cool bands that I started getting into in the early to mid 90s. And I've been playing guitar since I was 12 or 13. And I've had bands since I'm 16, 15, and it's just Christ, man. Time is flying. That's all. That's it. Sometimes you think about it. That's a old motherfucker.
He's wise though. He's wise.
Yeah.
I love it, man. That's freaking cool. And '83, man, that's the year I was born. It was a good year,
Oh yeah, it was a good year, man. I remember a lot of sick things that happened that year. Sick, awesome things. But Dave Rigetti threw a no-hitter that year on the 4th of July. That was fun. That was fun. a little kid during that. Certain things about 1983 I remember. Twisted Sister, that was like 84. Like, those were the two big bands like in New York, was Twisted Sister, because they were a local band, and Quiet Riot was like the national, they hit number one. And that was a big deal for like hard rock and metal at the time. Because no other band, like, they considered them a metal band at the time, and no other band had hit number one on Billboard. So, it was a good entry drug, Quiet Riot, because it was heavy enough that it grabbed your attention, like, for a kid, like, into, like, guitars and stuff like that, and it was cool, A few good songs on that album.
Yeah, I bet, just like with the time period, I mean, like whenever I was young, like new metal became such a big thing that I feel like I was a part of something, then. And then after that, just the like American metal movement, like the Lamb of God and bands like that. Like all of that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I got to be a part of that one too, And so those are just like awesome, like pivot points, that happened in music. And like you said, kind of breakthroughs that allowed the metal bands to become, more out there for other people to hear, So it's pretty cool.
Yes. Love it. And you don't look 50, man. Just so you know.
Thank you. I'll take
Didn't
that.
see that coming.
I'll take that, man. I do hear that, and I'll keep it coming. I will always accept that. And as a newly single man on the prowl, I need to be able to, the pool needs to be still substantial, and I can't be I can't be like, oh, the old man is gonna get the old ladies kind of situation. I can't. Where are we venturing right now? So I'm glad that I look somewhat young. Let's put that.
Oh, that's freaking awesome.
Well, good luck getting back out there, man.
Yeah, getting back on the horse. That's right. It's part of life. It's part of life being thrust into situations. Definitely prepared for and stuff, but new situations are always interesting, and you always have to adapt to things. So
Reeking Aura needs a good scandal. So let's I'm rooting for you to make it happen.
yeah, we do need a good scandal. I can figure something out. Don't worry about it. I'm working on something.
Love it. All right, Hudson, what you got, man? What's your origin story?
Well, for me, it started in I was born in '99, so just to show you what years I'm kind of coming at it from. But I in elementary school, I started to get really into like Metallica. Like the first CD I ever got was Death Magnetic, and so that's where I kind of began. Was 2008. I got it for my 9th birthday because I had expressed some interest in like a couple Metallica songs, or whatever, and they just came out with a new album. It was everywhere. So I remember I was at my 9th birthday party, and I went up to my room and I was like, let me put this in. I still have the CD, like it's all beat to shit, but it's cool. I went up to my room and I remember the first song was That Was Just Your Life, and I remember listening, and that's a really heavy like late era Metallica song. It's almost sounds like the intro kind of sounds more Slayer than anything. And I immediately I was just like, this is the coolest shit I've ever heard, and so I became a giant Metallica fan from the get go, and now it's like more love hate, but more love for the first 4 albums and whatever, but. Metallica, and then I started to, Pandora was a thing back then, and I had like an iPod Touch. I have one still, but I had a much older one back then. Um, and I'd go to Pandora, like whatever stations that, Metallica radio. And I found out about some of the other like radio bands. Like I liked Disturbed a lot in elementary school, like 3 Days Grace. I found out about Korn and Godsmack and all that stuff. It was fine. I didn't think it was corny when I was a child. And now, I can't really too much of that anymore. But like a band like Avenged Sevenfold, I still have a soft spot for some of their stuff. And they were like my second favorite band for a long time. And then towards the end of high school, kind of like Avenged Sevenfold was the band that first got me into like, I got into the really accessible radio stuff. And then like I started listening to the first 2 albums. I finally got okay with like screaming. And then I got into like Lamb of God and then like Amon Amarth. And then my older cousin, Pete, he's like 37 now. So he's a bit older than me. I'm 26. He was in a bunch of metal and hardcore bands growing up in the New Jersey area. So he starts like spoon feeding me. He's like, oh, you like this shit? All right, here's the actual real shit. So, Death, Morbid Angel, Cannibal Corpse, all that shit, and a bunch of black metal, bunch of like true metalcore, not like all the post-hardcore stuff, but like real like at the gatesy kind of metalcore, and a lot of like local Jersey stuff like E-Town Concrete and stuff like that. He just started kind of sending shit I just would have never really found through the popular channels. And that's where I, started to really get into the underground stuff. And he introduced me to a bunch of like labels to follow and, whatever. And I started collecting CDs and vinyl and cassettes and whatever. And I remember in like 2018 was like the first year that I really started like digging into the underground. First year of college was 2017. And so out of high school, I'm listening to like Lamb of God and stuff. And 2018 is where I really started. I remember the album Idol by Horrendous came out in 2018. I remember buying that. I think it was from Season of Mist. And I was like, oh, I felt like special that I had. It's like, I know about this, And now Horrendous, like, we know those guys and they're like one of my favorite bands. First set I ever played with Reeking Aura was actually opening for Horrendous. So it was like a really surreal moment. That's one of my favorite bands ever. And the fact that those guys are like friends now is kind of insane. Yeah, so I just kind of kept getting into the heavy stuff, and it just it doesn't really resemble music anymore, but I love it more than I ever have. So
Nice. How'd you start playing drums?
I started playing when I was 10. I got a drum set for my 10th birthday. I started on piano, and then I just couldn't play like Slayer songs on piano, so I just kept begging my parents to get me a drum set, and they're like, are you gonna be serious about it? Because they're like, we're not going to get you one if you're not serious about it, whatever. I think they now regret how serious about it I was, because I still, I live in a spot where I don't have my drums, so my drums are still at my parents. I'm still like, I was there for 3 hours this morning practicing and recording shit, so I'm still to this day annoying the shit out of them with my drum set. So I'm sure they kind of regret how seriously I took it. But yeah, I started when I was 10. So I've been about 16 years, and I now teach drums. I teach at like a school of rock in the area, and so I'm just, being a bad influence to a bunch of children and giving them all the evil satanic bands that their parents don't want them to know about. It's kind of fun.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, a lot of them are actually already into it. I'm just trying to steer them. Like, dude, the speed at which these young kids are figuring out. Like, dude, I had a 7-year-old. Like, have you ever heard of a band called Doverman? He's talking about Devourment. He's 7. I'm like, how did you find this? Like, I hope your parents don't think that I'm showing you Devourment. Like, how the fuck did you find this? And like, all the kids, Korn is huge among the high school kids, but like Knocked Loose and all these hardcore bands. So my job is like, okay, this is convincing to you now. I want to show you the shit that you're gonna like in 5 years. So I'm just kind of showing them oh, you like hardcore? Here's grindcore. Oh, you like, this? All right, here's like you like metalcore? Here's melodic death metal, and you just get them send them into the weeds.
Nice. I had a guitar teacher when I was in ninth grade. That's who introduced me to Pantera. And like, that was almost like the start. Like I listened to some of the band, like in middle school stuff. Like I was sneaking around listening to Korn and Marilyn Manson. And it's like, 'cause I wasn't supposed to listen to it because it was parental advisory. But like, that was like all new. Like Life is Peachy was new when I was like checking it out. Right.
Director rules, dude. The drumming on that album is so good.
Yeah. But like he introduced me to Pantera, and then like it was like from there I fell in love with like just that groove metal stuff, and then just started getting heavier and heavier and heavier, meeting people who are into heavier music, and like just it's like there's always one band, there's always someone that introduces you to that band. So good job, man. Yeah. Keep it up.
Thanks. And I think I skipped a pivotal step, but yeah, somewhere between the super underground stuff and the Disturbs and shit when I was like 9, I found the Iron Maidens and the Judas Priests and the Dios and the Venoms and like all that shit. And I felt like I still had to this day I'm a diehard like just classic heavy metal fan. I really like guitar harmonies. They're my favorite thing about music and like overall. I picked the wrong instrument for that to be the case, but it's fine. I still can write guitar harmonies. But yeah, I just love like Thin Lizzy, all the dueling guitars and all that shit. I've been on a huge Thin Lizzy kick recently, but that shit kind of got me really, really excited. And then all of the really underground and whatever. But yeah, falling in love with all Pantera as well, just all the classic bands, was a huge like trend. That was like kind of, I said I got into the underground like my second year of college. That first year was just kind of living with the classic stuff, like end of high school, right into college. I remember that summer I was just like listening to absolutely fun. And that's when I was like padding my CD collection with shit that you could buy at like Walmart back when they were still selling CDs, like the popular shit, And then pretty soon it's like, you have to get it from Finland and only one guy has a copy and it's beat to fucking shit, So, but yeah.
Yeah, man, seeking out music back in the day was a little bit different, definitely without the internet, like MySpace. Like the internet did kind of come out a little bit. I feel like though in the beginning it was mostly chat rooms. And so if you didn't like really know the right chat room to go to or whatever, then you weren't going to find anything that you were looking for metal wise. But that's pretty cool, Rick, that you were going back and looking into it in that time period. Because I was thinking, man, back in 92, discovering metal on the internet, like that's insane.
Yeah,
that is insane.
On message boards, on Prodigy.
Right, message boards.
There was like message boards there, and there was one called 80s Metal Anyone with a question mark, and that was that one that I would find a lot of stuff on. And then there was one called I forget what, we're going back 35 years.
So like, I remember MySpace, like MySpace being like such a big deal where the artists could finally like be more connected with the fans and you like finding a way to like follow them.
MySpace was good. Now that, because 2004, 2005 or so, or 6, around that time, my other band like started having fun on MySpace, and we were, playing some decent shows around that little time. MySpace was the thing, because people could put your song on their profile, and that's how it would spread in that little window, in that little window of time. Like, it was good for bands. From what I remember, that's also going back 20 years now, to the death of MySpace.
Yeah, man, rest in peace, because that was like tagging songs onto your post, and like nowadays you can just do that, it's like
right.
any song you can go and find, I feel like, whenever you're trying to tag it. Whereas, I don't know, back then that wasn't a thing at all. Like we used to go buy tickets, right, at CD Warehouse or Homeland or something like that. They'd be selling tickets and we'd have to go walk up and actually buy the physical ticket. And then, don't lose that, because that show's in like 4 months. Good times. Well, I was hoping through a little bit of my rambling that we'd get Will to hop back on too.
It doesn't look like it. It looks like he's having app issues. Is freezing. The app is freezing for him, and he's having computer. Like I said, his computer's having an issue. So
okay.
if you can't get on the app, then can't get on.
Okay, total bummer. We miss you, Will. Sorry we didn't get to hear the origin story.
Most definitely. It's definitely interesting, I'm sure.
I know. I'm like, it's going to be like my white buffalo, the one that got away. But we love you, brother, and sorry for the troubles. All right, Brando.
All right. Well, I would love to talk to you guys about this most recent album you all put out on the Promise of the Moon. I think was it April? Like Apple Music says like April 17th, but I don't know.
Right.
Sometimes if there's a single release, that's like the date that they show. So sometimes I get it wrong. So just going to be forward with you guys. I had never heard Reeking Aura, right? And then doing this podcast, I'm always searching out for new music, and I saw some lists, and your album popped up. So I was like, all right, check it out. And it was one that I went back to multiple times. Like, absolutely love it. It just hit me in all the right spots. Like, it's so awesome and amazing. And I would love to hear about how that album kind of came together for you guys. Like, what was the creative process like?
Well, for this one, it was different than the first one. It's two different bands, right? First album was more of a one person wrote the majority of that record, and he was our old guitar player, Ryan, and Ryan is no longer in the band. So when he left the band in between albums, we had to re-evaluate and redo how everything was done before. So this album is a 180 from the first album as far as how it was written. This one was written as a group effort where each guy wrote songs and brought songs to the table, and then the rest of us would interject with our little sprinkles of our little touches to each of those songs and work on them together. But it was more of it's definitely more of a everybody brings a song to the table kind of thing situation now, it really worked out well. Because everybody has their own unique style, and when you throw all those influences and styles into a bowl or whatever, like a salad, it becomes like a salad, So that's what this album is.
Also, Rick, I want to say like the combined performance of people kind of just makes the songs even more cohesive. Not that our songs were dramatically different; they all kind of fit together, but just us all playing it and our personalities coming through the music kind of makes it more, kind of just gelled everything together.
I could totally see that. Just, it's because it's everybody's creation, right? So, you made it, so it. It's your baby. And I think that really does show. We talk a lot with bands that do it a lot of ways. And one of the ways that always seems like we get the most like energy back from the band, that just seems like excitement, positivity, and really looking forward to the future, is whenever the band's like allow everybody to just throw their pieces in. And I like you said a salad, Rick. I never heard anybody call it a salad, but
I like that.
That's a heck of a way to, put it, because, salads are freaking good. And a lot of times they're made, out of things where just that item by itself, you just might not eat, And so whenever you get a chance to throw everything together, you actually have something beautiful and delicious, right? And so
exactly. Yeah, we refer to salads as in various ways. Like when we're enjoyers of the marijuana. So most of us, except for Hudson, and let's get that clear. So when we throw it all in a bowl, it's a salad. When you throw all your influences together, it's a salad. It's good to be diverse in various ways. That's how I look at things.
Well, I think it shows through, and I think it makes the music amazing. And you guys can tell, we can tell whenever we listen to the music that, you guys are really putting something out that is meaningful to you. And so the fact that you're building it and growing it together just makes more sense.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Well, hey, so we've got Will with us, and I would love to hear his origin story. If we can get him, I know he was having some freezing issues, and I hate that, but we're going to try to do what we can to hear how he all started in the brutality.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you hear me good? The
Sorry about
app
that,
kept
buddy.
disconnecting
We
on
hear you
me.
now.
Okay. Yeah, well, I got into like death metal and more extreme music after already, listening to like what you might call grunge at the time. I was born in '82, so I was really young when like Soundgarden and Pearl Jam and all those bands got big. And then new metal took over. But by that time, my friend's older brother, my friend of mine from high school, his older brother is Adam Rotella, who to this day is kind of renowned in the noise scene because he's got this project Anal Birth that he started in the '90s. That people consider him something of a pioneer in his own little subgenre of it. And he was very into tape trading. He probably had a collection back in the day that would have been worth thousands of dollars on Discogs now because he was letter writing and tape trading with a lot of names that went on to become very big from the early '90s in death metal and grindcore. But unfortunately, he, like a lot of people, he
Same
lost his
here,
collection
man.
to various floods and situations over the years, and had to rebuild it. But he used to make me mixtapes, and when I was like a young teenager, he got me into like Dead Infection and Cryptopsy and Mortician and a lot of stuff, man. And I got the Blasphemy Made Flesh poster on the wall behind me, man. That was real big for us back in the day, and None So Vile. And I've been in a bunch of bands. I was in a band called BioLich for many years. I was in a band called Cursed Earth in the late '90s that used to play in Queens. And we were lucky enough where we got to open up for Dehumanized, and we opened up for Broken Hope once and various other bands when I was a young teenager, and that made a big impact on me. And I've always, since then, I'm 40. I'm actually turning 40. I have to be. I'm not the type of guy like, hey, it's my day. But since it's relevant, it's my birthday tomorrow. I'm turning 44 tomorrow, and I've been singing for death metal bands since I was 14. So what's that? 30 years of death metal, right? So tomorrow. So yeah. So as long as all my bands don't kick me out at midnight, that's 30 years of death
Happy
metal
birthday tomorrow, man.
tonight. So, and like we had.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, not for that, but thanks, man. Yeah, and yeah, like I started Buckshot Facelift around 2004. We had a few lineup switcheroos, and then Terrell and Rick joined the band and ended up being like the longest running guitarist to that band, which is still technically a band. It's just kind of on hiatus, not doing much at the moment, but there was never any breakup with Buckshot Facelift. Um I was in a few other bands over the years. I got a band Afterbirth. We're just recording a new album that's coming out on Willow Tip Records, and other things, man. I do all sorts of tricks and trinkets, as they say.
Yeah, you have to, man.
Jerky Boys reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I knew Rick would get it. I stay busy, man. I just do death metal vocals, man, all the time.
Yeah, that's cool, dude. I'm right there with you. I'm 42, so as I was saying to Rick earlier, born in '83, so not too far away.
Yeah, time flies after a while, and then one day you wake up and you're about to turn 50. So you'll see what I'm talking about. Oh, I'm still.
Someday the old guy at the show,
I
man.
am.
That happened.
At metal shows, though, it's good because there's always older dudes still than me. So, like, there's still, like, guys in their 50s, especially when you go to, like, older metal, like 90s or 80s metal, there's going to be dudes in their 60s there and shit. So I'm still not. If you go to like I'm the old guy in a lot of shows. Okay, we understand, but not but not like all the shows.
In some of these like hardcore shows, I'm the old guy, so don't worry, man.
Yeah, like
it's
when
just
we
like
play the
there's
Meat
phases.
Locker. When we play
I
the
can't
Meat
go there
Locker,
anymore.
it's like a very young crowd, and it's like holy shit. Not only can I be your parents, like I can, in some cases, like I could be your grandparents, like at this point. So I don't want to be around there. Be around there. I have no kids, so I don't want to think about that.
Just don't call him Sonny.
None that you know of, anyway, right?
Exactly. I've always played things nice and safe. You understand? So no knockings at the door 18 years later. If you understand. So yeah.
No Billie Jean, baby.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh man, that's good. Well, glad, Will, that we got a chance to, finally get to hear, a little bit of how you got started in metal, man. That's freaking awesome, dude. Cryptopsy, you gotta have them in the pocket, it's like, well, if people are like, who? You're like, well, have you heard Cryptopsy? Like they're another one of those bands you like to whip out. I freaking love Cryptopsy and, None So Vile. I remember that one. This is a great one. So,
Underground death metal. It changed brutal death metal a lot. I feel like in the late '90s there was this like arms race amongst death metal drummers to try to adapt to what Cryptopsy.
yeah, I think so too. And that wasn't an easy feat, and that is part of what kind of evolved us into what we got today with, things being as technical as it is too. So, pretty cool.
That's definitely an album that I feel like is a real litmus test when I'm talking to people. Like, are we gonna agree on things, or for the most part, or not? Like, people are like, "Oh, I love metal," and you get like the people who love classic metal and stuff. But like when you start talking to people that like like the Slaughter to Prevails and stuff like that, you're like, "Well, do you fuck with Cryptopsy?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know." Even the people who only listen to like the really quantized shit, it's like, are you in it for the same reasons that I'm in it, like the whole like the real organic, I think that album is a really good like, first of all, do you know enough about it to understand, like, to know what this album is? But second of all, like, if you don't vibe with this, like, we're probably not gonna agree on most things. That album is like, it's just perfect. Everything about it's perfect.
No, I agree, man. Because there's somebody that we all know, and he has a hot take in my book, and he loves Cryptopsy, but he says None So Vile is sloppy, and I'm like, you're wrong. And you're right. You're right, but that's what makes it great.
Yeah.
And for him, it doesn't. But for me, it does. And it's not sloppy. It's loose.
Also,
there's
like,
a difference.
really fast as humans can fucking play. So if like that's they're still together, but that's like hitting physical limitation limit. Like that's a real fuck. I don't know. That album's perfect. I wouldn't.
Yeah, that's literal extreme metal.
Yeah,
you're pushing yourself to your limit.
That's my go-to for Cryptopsy. That's the one I'm most familiar with. Like,
aren't
None So Vile all the way.
Aren't they playing that currently at fests?
I think so. Probably 30-year anniversary. Yeah.
Yes.
They're always playing that currently.
So when you guys are writing, or like just, I don't know, do you guys get to all come together as a full band and like practice in person a lot, or do you guys do most of your stuff through the way the rest of the world does a lot of it now, is like, I record this and send it over to you kind of thing?
Yeah, the latter. The latter. We basically are in the rehearsal room these days when we're prepping for recording or shows. And I think that's a very good way to do things. My other band has adopted a similar method to do things now, and it's streamlined everything compared to the way things used to be, as far as You know, it's yes, the modern age it offers many beautiful things in bands, for bands, and being able to do this, like for example, Hudson will craft a song in MIDI format because Hudson doesn't play guitar, but he can write the guitar parts on the drum on the computer, which is like I can't even fathom doing that.
Them
But then
harmonies, right?
was that?
Them harmonies.
Hey, all the harmonies, exactly. And then they'll come as a MIDI file, and then it's up to me to compose, transpose those MIDI tones, those Castlevania MIDI tones into the songs, and so yeah, there's ways of doing things like even if you can't play or even if you don't play, you could still write entire songs with modern equipment and like Hudson does. It's fucking unbelievable to me. Good shit, Hudson.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I know, like, I can only speak from when I joined the band and onward, but my other band, Trog, I'm in another band with TJ, the bassist, but he plays guitar in that band, and we write a lot of the material for that. And we're very, like, we both have Logic, and we just send demos back and forth all the time. And we really kind of hammered out a method in that band of just, it was just so efficient because we kind of got sick of, I'm not very good at coming up on the I'm not a very good piano player. I started on piano, but I can't really play anything. So the way that I write songs most efficiently is a lot of trial and error. And that's why I use like the MIDI stuff. And it's a lot more visual that way, and chopping up 16th notes and whatever, I can just kind of see it better. But it's not always immediately obvious to me, like what intervals are going to work for a harmony. I kind of need to try, oh, it's not this one, it's this one, or this one doesn't feel the right way, it's this one. And whenever we were just in a room, like when we were in like, early college, the guitars are way too loud, the drums are way too fucking loud, nobody can hear each other, nobody can talk about anything. Like, it was just not productive. And so we would often really write, we'd have a tiny little practice amp. I'd bring a drum pad and a keyboard, and I would just write shit on the computer. And then that kind of, we found out that we were even quicker if we just all went home and did that and then shared the ideas, like, and then we just started rapidly sending shit back and forth. So that's the kind of way that me and TJ always did things. And then I joined this band, and I kind of started to do the same thing because that's the only way I really knew how to do it. I also find that I write a lot better drum parts that way because then I don't forget what I'm doing, and I'm also not limited by my current ability. Like, I will program things that I can't play, and then I have to go figure out how to play it. And that makes me better, and that's how I feel like I continue to get better. But it also lets me be a lot more deliberate about how I complement certain riffs, because in the moment I might forget a detail, or I'll be so out of breath that I don't execute it properly. And recording drums is a fucking pain in the ass. I do it all the time. It's terrible. So I only want to have to do it once. So I can program parts that are like 95% the way that they're going to be, and really be happy with the form and the way that they kind of talk to each other and whatever. And that's what I really like doing. So then, they started sending riffs around for, now granted, when I joined, Ryan was still in the band. And so Ryan and I wrote probably 4 or 5 songs together, and then he ended up not being in the band anymore, and we ended up putting those out under a different band name. But then we started again, and we started that same process, just sending demos back and forth all over the place, and it just became very efficient, I think, to be that way. And me and TJ, the fact that we both already were on the same page kind of helped with that. One of TJ's songs just was he sent me a MIDI demo for What Only Worms Witness. It was that song. He sent me that. I rearranged one part, edited the drums, and then that song was basically done. And so once we had demos flying around, I think like things kind of came together pretty quick. And Terrell's very tech savvy too. Terrell's second song, the Sifting, the one that we'll probably send you the video for, I mean, he just fucking shat that out like at buzzer beater. We didn't change a goddamn thing about that, and it's like it's one of my, if not my favorite song on the album. It's definitely the coolest song on the album in my opinion. But it's very efficient to me to work that way. I think everybody screaming over each other in a rehearsal room is pretty inefficient when we have all these tools at our disposal. But at the same time, I was born in 1999, so maybe I don't have an appreciation for the old ways as maybe other people do. But I think that the way that we do it is pretty fast, and it works pretty well for what we have.
Yeah, I don't like going in rehearsal rooms anymore and jamming. I don't like that.
Yeah, I was always the type to kind of write independently and then either work it out in the room. Never like an authoritarian about the songs, but here's what it is, make up your parts, and then you kind of play it out together. And I'll say at least even at the origin of the band, regardless of generation of member, it was always like, we'll call it a homework band, right? Here's the riffs, next time we come to practice, this is what we're jamming. And so that's kind of how we started with the band. And then it kind of, and we kept doing some of the same, like writing demos, like Hudson wrote his demos. I also did like, guitar demos with drum programming. That's always kind of how I've been able to flush out things. And we kind of took it from there. Everybody just added their sauce to the pot.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now for the vocals, Will, do you write those, or does the band come together and write those?
The way I've always done it is, going back, I've had a lot of bands. I had bands back in the 90s where I used to bring a little boombox to rehearsal with an air mic on it and just record every rehearsal and record the guys playing the instrumentals, and having a recording of the instrumental to play in the privacy of my home or whatever, in the car over and over again, and then kind of come up with stuff and write to it, is the way I've always done it. So the technology has definitely made it a little bit easier over time. Now, I don't have to wait until the guys work it out over like a month or two, and then I have a recording of the guitarist and the drummer playing it in a room somewhere. Like Hudson and Terrell were explaining, these guys just make demos and we email them to one another, and I'll have that to work on. So I could show up to rehearsal just the same way one of these guys could learn all the guitar parts to a demo that they were emailing. I could show up with all the lyrics and vocal patterns for that song. And I try to do that, and I try to keep up with the pace of progress and not, be the one holding the band back. So, it is with Reeking Aura also, we're not a band where and unfortunately would be sick, but we don't all live in the same town. So we're a band that can only get together and rehearse like once or twice a month. We all live in different parts of the tri-state area, I guess you could say. And it's when we get together, we got to come in prepared and make the most of our time at the rehearsal room. Whereas like at my other band, Afterbirth, we all live in Suffolk County. We all live within reasonable distance to the same rehearsal studio. So that band is a little bit more old fashioned in terms of the writing process, like writing in the room. But it's also a completely different dynamic. It comes down to personalities. It's not just age based, but age and generation is a part of it. And just how you grew up and how you learn music. So I feel like I just benefit from working with two different groups and two different sides of it. You know what I mean? And neither way is better. And watching the way Hudson and these guys utilize the technology is great too.
Yeah,
Right on.
that makes sense.
Hey, I actually wanted to ask you on the Promise of the Moon, is there anyone else doing vocals with you? Is that all you?
Well, there's two guest parts that are credited on Gorge Beyond Grudges. The very first vocal part is Eston Brown of Volnificus. That's like 4 lines. And my friend John Berg, who's a hardcore punk singer, he was in a band called The Past. He's on Manure Like Magma at different intervals in the song.
Okay.
But I'm sorry, there's a little echo here. But otherwise though, I'm doing the majority of the vocals. I'm trying to think. Did any of you guys jump in there for like one little part or something? I don't want to leave you out, but
No,
I think I did everything else.
Yeah.
I did backing vocals on the EP, but I didn't do anything on the album.
So I was
Yeah, so pretty much it's like 99% me on the album. Yeah.
nice. Well, you've got kick-ass vocals, man. And I guess maybe
Thank you.
on the Manure Like Magma, you mentioned there was a guest one. I think that I think the guest on that like just sort of stood out. Like I think it's almost like a grindcore-ish kind of vocal, like punky grindcore in there. And I was wondering if that was all you, or if you guys had a guest on there, because I didn't see that listed on the Apple Music. But I love your lows, man. Like they're so. And actually on the first song, Concrete Bass and Bath, like just like as soon as you come in, I don't know, I think of the red chord like immediately for some reason. Just like the very beginning of that song with your vocals and everything. It's just like it just sounds so strong and forceful, like with the song as a whole. So like I don't know. I love it. You guys do a killer job. So
That's a good ear, being able to pick out the guest vocal on that song, by the way, without being credited. You picked that out.
thanks.
Good ear, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Rick, I think
Thank you for the compliment. Yeah, I was gonna say that guy John Berg, who does the guest vocal on Manure Like Magma, uh he's another guy. When I was about 14 or 15, he was a few years older than me, and he was really into the punk hardcore scene here on Long Island, and he's always sang for bands that were a little bit more towards what you might call power violence or something like that, real screechy punk fast, type bands. So I thought Manure Like Magma, if you listen to the parts he does, I thought it fit. And he also put out Buckshot Facelift's first album with his label many years ago, and was a huge supporter of Buckshot Facelift over the years. So there's that connection with the three of us who were in that band too. So that's kind of why we picked him. We do have, growing up on Long Island in the '90s, you end up having some connection or another to hardcore, whether you like it or not.
No, I could see that, and I think like your idea to use his vocals there was like really good, because I agree, it fits that part of the song like perfectly, like, and to be honest, that's just an example, like a small sample of like the whole album. I feel like the whole album, everything fits so well, like everything you guys are doing is cohesive, and you can tell there's like it's like methodical, like I don't know if you meant for it to be that methodical and cohesive, but like, man, it just turned out like so beautifully done. Like that's my personal opinion, like, but like, so when the first couple weeks after it was out, I still, like, I keep going back to it. Like, it's one of my favorite releases this year. Like, it's definitely in constant rotation in my truck. I do a lot of driving for work here in Houston. I'm all over the place. I live an hour away from my office, and like, so thank you all for the kick-ass album to listen to. So just,
thank you.
yeah.
I think I don't think that necessarily became a mission statement until much later in the process. That song in particular was one of the first ones. Like, that goes back to 2023 even. That was one of the first things we did while I was in the band, was get that song together. And that song to me really kind of embodies what ended up being the mission statement. I think there's death metal in there. Obviously there's a lot of black metal in there. There's a lot of like kind of Spectral Wound, kind of punky black metal kind of feel to that song. It does a lot of things. But we didn't really make that the identity. We kind of it was just a result of all of our different tastes, like just kind of combining together. And then after we had like 4 or 5 songs, you're like, okay, this is kind of the vibe of the record. Like, I get it now. But I think that song is a really good microcosm. There's a moment to me though, like a 2-3 second moment on the album that I don't know if it was intentional. I tried to make it intentional, but I don't know. Kind of, I don't know, embodies what the record ended up being. And to me, it's in the Cathedral's calculation. It's during like the fucking soaring guitar melodies in the middle. There's like a violin playing over the top, and there's a little ride cymbal fill in there that I just wanted to do for fun, but it's from Baby Killer by Devourment. And so you get these like soaring black metal leads, and there's a violin playing, but the ding 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 ding, that is just ripped straight from Devourment. And to me, that little 2-second moment is just like, that is the ethos of the whole album. It's just that little ride cymbal fill in that section, because it's just the brutal shit and the melodic black metal shit kind of all coming together. To me, at least, that's like one of my favorite. I was just like, haha, if you recognize that,
Well, you called it soothing brutality earlier. I think that's perfect. I love that.
Yeah, so the note that I actually
Brutal
wrote.
drums and brutal vocals with bad guitar.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm getting an echo over here. I don't know if you guys are getting me.
Yeah.
I just said brutal guitar, brutal drum, and brutal vocals with bad guitars.
Yeah, man. So I actually wrote a note, and my note was melodies, harmonies, imagery, soothing brutality. So that was the note that, was my quick jot too, just so that I could, always remind myself, and then whenever you listen to it enough, you don't have to remind yourself that that's what you're getting out of it. So, and what's cool is that's what's great about the show is hopefully people hear your name, Reeking Aura, and they go, I want to check this out, man. Let's see what these guys are about. Or like I do like to say, sometimes we know something comes out, but we haven't got a chance to check it out yet. And this just pulls it back to the front again, for anybody who wants to check it out. And so I think it's a good time to go ahead and let people hear you guys. Now, whether they have or they haven't, we talked about playing the song Sifting for Fungal Inheritance whenever we got started. And I think it's a good time right now to kick that sucker off. What do y'all think?
Let's do it. Let's sift.
Yeah.
Let's Sift by Reeking Aura. Brutalness, soothing brutalness. Guys, thanks for letting us play the song. Freaking awesome. I hope everybody out there got a chance to enjoy that. And, like I always say, don't freaking stop there. Go backwards, go forwards, check out the rest of the songs on the album. And also make sure, to get familiar with the band. Rick mentioned earlier, it's two bands maybe from the beginning to the end. But if you're a fan like me, you like seeing how bands change and how bands evolve, from the beginning and, I don't want to say the end, but from the beginning to the present, right?
Right.
There you go.
Yeah. And so,
Every band has a story, you know what I mean? So
there you go.
that's it. And we've in the grand scheme of things, this band is still kind of in its, I don't want to say its infancy, because my other band has been around 30 years. So it's like this band is still nothing. Still it's like a new band, you know what I mean? So, but we've been around like 6 or 7 years now. I don't know what point I was getting at there. I kind of trailed off, but we're we're happy with the story. We're still, every band has a story, and we're happy with evolution, and we're happy with where we are now. We're extremely happy with our record. the reception it's gotten, and our label that we're on, all the things that we could be happy about, we are happy about. So it's a good time for the band.
Yeah, for
Good.
sure. And to say the album one more time, On the Promise of the Moon, for everybody out there, so that they can remember to go search that too.
On
And
Profound Lore Records, yes.
yes, absolutely. How's that? Deal work for you guys? Do they just do a lot of your media production and stuff like that? Are you guys mostly finding your own shows, or how's that work?
The shows are a separate thing from the label, yeah. So we don't go through a booking agent or anything of that nature. We're kind of DIY, so we let the label handle the getting the music out there, and then everything else is basically on us. And like I said, we're DIY in these things, and we're trying to figure things out as we go along, kind of. And maybe that's not the best path in certain ways, but it works for us. But
Can I tell you what I think, man?
yeah,
That's about as good as any of us are doing out there. About the best we can do.
yeah, that's all you can ask, right? Make some effort, and that's it.
I would say, this is our second album with Profound Lore, and Profound Lore is also working with several other bands that we're in besides Reeking Aura. So we have a great relationship with Profound Lore, and unless you have some sort of disposable income or source of wealth to invest into your bands for the publicity and distribution that these labels can provide, even at that point you still wouldn't be able to. A label like Profound Lore comes with a reputation and kind of a built-in following, because there's a lot of people that respect the way he curates his album. So I always speak very highly of Profound Lore. I've had a great relationship with them, and I've never had any issues with multiple albums being put out on that label over the years. So with underground labels, people say, what's the point of a label nowadays? You could do social media. I mean, yeah, you could be one of 100,000 other guys putting their stuff out there on Bandcamp, and I encourage everyone to do so. I got projects out there that aren't on labels that are on Bandcamp. I'm not knocking it, but labels like Profound Lore and other labels, that they do help out the bands in a lot of ways that are difficult to, unless you're because they've built over the years that kind of infrastructure. That's all I say.
Yeah, I think curation is the key word there. I think people trust Bruni's judgment, and I know when I joined the band, that was part of the reason why I was so excited to join. I was like, "Come on, Profound Lord, that's so sick." I'd been like a fan of that label. I still, last year he put out a bunch of fucking bangers. It's just a label that you can trust their judgment, and maybe he suspends that judgment when he agrees to put our music out. But everybody else, we trust that judgment for sure.
And I think that's right, man. Labels do matter. It is cool whenever you can put something out and you don't need a label. I admire that and totally respect it. But so many times, like, even I will go look through the bands that are on a label if I like just one band on that label, and I'll see other bands on a label, much like I would see other bands on a flyer back in the day,
Yeah, because if a label's putting out something you like, chances are there's going to be more of that. So
yeah, there's more than one,
Right, I know.
Like for me, I know that like everything coming off of Extremely Rotten out of Copenhagen is going to be sick. Like 99% of the shit that because that's run by the guy from Undergang and I think one other guy. Everything on that label is fucking disgusting. And like I don't know, yeah, when a label really hunkers down on a curation of a certain sound, I think it's really cool because it becomes a playlist more than a business, and I think that's kind of what you want.
I agree. It's something neat and a place where people can find some awesome music. And still today, right? Just as many maps or roads to take us there, it's helpful. I'm always like, yeah, if that helps one more person check it out, it's worth it. So, labels still matter to me. And I think anybody who would be signed to a label or, they would be excited and feel honored still. So
absolutely, it also brings an air of legitimacy to your project. You know, like Will said, you know, there's millions of bands on Bandcamp, and I have a project on Bandcamp, and you know, of course, it's great. It's there, but like it brings, if you're on, you know, it brings an air of legitimacy, like I said, and in a way, it also opens doors as far as getting your music out there to the masses. That I'm not able to do that by myself. You know, I can't do that from my house. The label's the machine. The label knows what they're doing. They know how to get you know. So yes, of course, especially in underground metal, they serve a great purpose, because it's expensive to put vinyl out. It's expensive to press these things. It's expensive for PR and all these things. And most bands, I'm not trying to besmirch, but most bands aren't going to be able to come up with the money necessary to properly promote a record. You know, I say properly. It's expensive to do that in this day and age still. Everything is expensive. So yeah, you gotta, you know, money plays an important factor, and it's great to have somebody behind you that takes that, you know, that you don't have to worry about coming up with money for your guy that's gonna mix your record and stuff like that.
totally.
Mm-hmm.
So do you guys have any live shows coming up?
Yeah, we have just a couple on the docket. Right now we record this in early to mid June. We have a show in Philadelphia in July, I believe July 19th, Philadelphia. You can check our social medias for that. And there's a show in August in Brooklyn. It's the Torturous Inception. That's friends from Staten Island. That's where I'm from, Staten Island, and there's a band called Torturous Inception from there. It's their record release show, and we're gonna play that with them. And that's gonna be Lucky 13 in Brooklyn. So I don't know the exact date on that. Again, that's actually, that flyer hasn't dropped yet for that one yet. So in a couple days or soon, that will be announced. But yeah, we have a couple of shows lined up. Would love to do more shows. That you know, if they, everything needs to make sense, right? Everything needs to make sense. So we're not gonna try to waste our time. So any shows that come along, we weigh the possibilities if they're good or not, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, with everybody now being together, you do kind of have to make sure that you make the most of your opportunities.
Yeah, and we all have jobs, and we all have things going on, and they all, if you pick a weekend or a show to do, it's gotta be the right thing, you know.
Gas is notoriously cheap these days.
Yeah, exactly, and traffic is awesome in New York. So yeah, it's like, it's lovely to drive 4 hours to go 15 miles, and so hey, that's part of the game in New York. So we do love it around here in New York.
Well, yeah, and then the World Cup is about to start, so
Oh my God,
pretty much screwed over here on Route 3.
that's right.
I'm in a very similar boat. I'm in Houston, so it takes forever to get anywhere. Like, traffic is horrendous, and the World Cup is starting this week, so like they're doing it here too.
Oh, you guys have World Cup games there too, huh?
Yeah, yeah. At the well, they're not calling it NRG. I think they're just calling it Houston Stadium, but at the Texans Stadium, like that's
Yeah. Is the Astrodome is still standing, right? The Astrodome, they're never going to tear that down, are they?
It is still standing. It's like a citywide. There's a big old city fight about what to do with that thing, man. It's like, it's still there. It's right next to NRG. It's like you just walk across the street. There's the Astrodome.
And
Shout out.
and you probably just gut it. They should probably gut it and just leave the shell or something. Or I don't know. If you're never going to use it, you should kind of leave something there. I was gutted when they tore down Yankee Stadium. So, but
Yeah.
Shout out to Jeff Bagwell and Will.
Yeah. Jeff Bagwell. When I think of the Astrodome, I think of Nolan Ryan and Mike Scott. You know, those are the Astros I think of.
Yeah, Nolan Ryan for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was rooting for the Astros in 1986 to beat the Mets, but they couldn't do
Boo.
that. They couldn't. I don't like the Mets, but
I hear you either love them or hate them up there, right?
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
if you like one of the two. If you're a baseball fan, you like the Yankees or the Mets. There's no in between. So that's
Yeah, I'm one of those
Right.
weirdos where I watch both teams.
yeah. I mean,
But
you
if-
could enjoy, but the
if it's
love
the
of
Subway
baseball,
Series,
the game,
you know what I mean?
yeah, then you go for one.
Yeah.
If it's
like
the
the
World
Tex-
Series, you're gonna pick one. You know
It's
what
like
I'm
the Texans and the Oilers. Or, I mean, Texans and Titans playing or something.
saying? The Oilers.
There you go. Yeah.
Warren
Nice.
Moon. Shout out to Warren Moon. Yeah.
Well, I think it's about this time we like to talk a little bit about gear. Do you guys like to talk about your gear?
Yeah, I could talk gear. Absolutely, sure.
So we love to hear what you guys what your favorite pieces are, man. What do you guys like? What are you playing on?
I've been downsizing a lot of stuff, so I've gotten rid of a lot of my gear. For years, I played on a VHT Pitbull Ultra Lead head, which was I always vowed I would never sell that head, but I sold it, and you know I got rid of that after like 15 years of owning it. Now I use a EVH 50-watt guitar head that I've used for a few years. I really love that amp, and I'm using Ibanez guitars. And for effects, I just use a Boss GX10. It's just like a effects unit modeler kind of thing that I disable the preamp on, and I just use the effects, and I go through the effects loop on my amp. And yeah, I'm pretty old school with that. I still use a tube amp. I don't really. I've had a couple of modelers, but I never really. I don't have the patience to dive into everything and learn digital, you know, to how to get everything to sound. I just like the tube amp sound, I guess, still. So I stick to those. I stick to those for now. But I'm also looking into a solid state setup to make things easier as far as shows and traveling. Maybe bring like a pedal board kind of amp situation. I don't know, but I'm looking into that instead of maybe lugging around a head. But then again, who knows? I was thinking about trying a modeler again. Something popped into my feed recently. I forget what it was, but I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm 0 for 2, and I'm not going to go 0 for 3. So that's how I put it.
I'm curious. Do you remember which ones you tried?
I had a well, Terrell, what's that one that I had that floored? There's a lunchbox version of it. It's
Positive grid bias?
No,
Bias effects?
it's a big modeler that they make.
Axe effects.
K begins with a K, maybe or something.
Oh, Kemper.
Oh yeah, I had a Kemper. I had a Kemper.
Oh, okay.
I didn't really love it, and I had a Marshall. No, a Fender Marshall. I had a Fender.
Tone Deluxe.
Yeah, it was a Tone. The new
Tone
Fender
Pro,
one
yeah.
that came out like last year, 2 years ago. It was nice, but still not. It had the 5150 amp in there, but I don't like it. I don't like it.
That's fair. All right. Well, I don't have an amp really like here at the house. So like I got rid of all my stuff. I moved to Arizona for a little while and then moved to Texas, and Zoomy and I have been playing a little bit of music together, and I've been looking at amps again, but I was like, I need something real easy just so I can just have it to desk. So I started messing around with some of those things, like those modulars or modelers or whatever, like those amp sims. And I think I tried like 6 or 7 of them. And I don't have the patience to go through and tweak stuff. So I did the trials. I found one popped up, like the default setting on it. I was like, all right, that sounds pretty cool. Found some other like artist presets, and I was like, Okay, I'm gonna go with this. I ended up getting the Neural DSP, the Gojira like amp sim, and man, there's so many good like just presets on it. If you just sit at a desk with some monitors, like it sounds good, you know. So I was like, I'm just gonna stick with this for a while. I will tell you though, I probably spend every evening looking on Reverb and Facebook Marketplace at amplifiers. Like I miss having one. So
I recommend the EVH 50 watt just to look at. If they're smaller on the small,
yeah, those are the mini ones, right?
it's oh yeah, I don't. It used to be right there. I don't have it there anymore. Yeah, they're kind of small. It's still a good size amp, but they're on the smaller side. But yeah, that's when I first plugged in one of those, I was like, whoa, shit. Okay, so
All right. What do you play it through? Like, what's your cab?
right now I downsized from a 4x12. Now I just have a Marshall 2x12 8 ohm. Kind of smaller deal. I find that playing shows, they just mic, obviously they just mic the one speaker anyway. What do I need to bring around a 4x12 for? So I'm,
Right.
like I said, I'm old. I've had surgery on my neck. So I'm trying not to carry the heavy stuff anymore. So
Carrying heavy shit is overrated anyway.
yeah, screw that. Hey, for me.
Just ask Hudson and all the drums he's got to carry.
Yeah, just like slide it over to his pile, and maybe he won't notice.
He has a body bag that's like, how heavy is that bag, do you think? 100 pounds?
It's probably slightly over 100. Yeah, I definitely like after we played that Staten Island show, my back was definitely giving me problems the next day. I was like, why does my back hurt? I didn't even lift today, and I was like, oh, because I had a fucking show yesterday.
That's a 100-pound bag that I carry around. Yeah. So
Yeah, and it's just a oblong, and the weight is not evenly distributed at all. There's no safe way to pick that thing up, but it's fine.
Well, Hudson, tell us about your drums.
I'm not really a gear guy, just because I can't really afford to be. So I pulled up to the studio. I used, I shot. I mean, we tested them. We did mine against his drums, and his drums sounded better. And I don't know what they were. I just liked the way that they sounded better. But cymbal wise, I also kind of got sick of playing the game. I have a few, rather two effect cymbals that I think kind of define my drum sound. But other than that, I don't really give a shit. I've got a Zildjian Mega Bell A custom that I got years ago because I wanted to be like Mario from Gojira. Still do. Got it pretty fucking cheap. I got it for like $200, and those go for quite a bit. That thing will never break, so I don't got to worry about replacing it. I have another Zildjian, the Oriental China, that I use a lot as well. And then I got like two splash cymbals that I put above my toms. But then all my crash cymbals for this record were all Wuhan. Not a single crash cymbal that I used on this record cost more than $70. And they sound fine. So I just got sick of breaking cymbals and spending $300 to replace them. I just said, fuck it, I'm not doing it anymore. So I stopped. And if a cymbal company wants to sponsor me, cool. But until that happens, I'm not fucking wasting my money anymore. I don't get paid enough to spend $300 every time I break a cymbal. I just can't do it. So I buy whatever's cheap. I buy whatever works. So my drum set is a Tama Silver Star that I've had since I was 13, 14. Very intermediate level drum set. I'd love to be a gear guy if I could, but I mean, shit is just too fucking expensive. I just don't care enough. If you play the drums well enough, for real, I'll try them.
Yeah.
But hopefully I play them well enough for them to sound good. But I feel like it's diminishing returns for the money at that point.
Yeah, that makes sense. Terrell?
Yeah, I would say I'm a gear admirer and not really a gear hoarder or purchaser. My setup is real bare bones. I use Ibanez guitars, RG, kind of like an ash body. It was like a $400 guitar that I got. And, tube screamer, basic Donner, like Chinese chorus and delay pedals. And I typically play through Marshall Valve State. Right now I've also been playing now through the Ampeg VHD pedal, which is like a clone of the VH 140C, the classic 90s, brutal death metal amp. And that's kind of just been my setup. Now it's like a pedal board setup, and I love tech, but I keep my setup pretty simple.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Will, you got any gear you'd like to share with us?
I'll tell you guys actually what I got. Yeah. The guys recognize this from every single rehearsal. I got my Trapper Keeper that I keep all my lyrics in for all my bands going back like over 10 years now.
That's what the vocalist carries.
But
Is it a true Trapper Keeper?
it is actually. I got it from a thrift store a long time ago.
Hell yeah.
But in terms of gear, I've had different like variations of whatever like the basic Shure mic is, that the Shure company, like whatever their basic line mic is, and I have over the years tried to be good about at least bringing a mic to the shows and rehearsals. Right now, the one I was using has been broken for a while, so I've been using whatever's there. But guys, you guys got to give me this. I'm not bringing in amps and drums all the time, but I do try to keep the merch going in and out of the show and watching the merch table, and I try to at least hold it down with that, because I know you guys are investing money and time and back muscle into all that gear.
Man, the merch, man. Will's awesome with the merch because everyone gravitates towards Will anyway. So may as well sell the shit. May as well sell everything to these fine people.
I also am lucky to be in a band with Will and Terrell, who helped me carry a ton of shit, and I will repay it at some point. If one of them ever decides to move, I promise to repay the favor. But both of them helped me out a ton at every rehearsal and every show.
Nice. You hear that? If you guys want to move, Hudson's got your back.
Hell yeah. I might steal some of Will's CDs if he decides to move, though, I will say.
I don't know where you're going to put them.
Yeah, where are you going to put them, Hudson?
Yeah, where are you going to put in any CDs, man?
Oh, that's why I built more. We got some room.
Oh, okay. All right.
Are those alphabetized?
Yeah, I would find it if they weren't.
So I always did it, and then like whenever my wife and I were dating, she'd like come over to the house and like move some of them around, and then later I'd be like, "You think it's funny, but this isn't a game."
No, that's called for divorce right there.
Oh my God, man! I can't tell you. Zoomy, do you remember watching me? You'd probably come over and we'd probably smoke some bowls or something. And I would spend an entire evening we'd go to Hastings. It was an old bookstore with used CDs and stuff, like in Norman, Oklahoma. Now, find Acid Bath, right? But I've got a 208, 164 like Case Logic binder, and I put everything in alphabetical order. So I would spend the evening moving everything one CD spot over so that I could put Acid Bath on page 1 because it was AC.
I have to do every time I get a new CD. I gotta, you take 3 out of the shelf, and by the end of all the new shit, you're ripping out 20 at a time and putting the next one in.
Yes.
But although if I didn't do that, I wouldn't find anything, and if I couldn't find anything, then I wouldn't be able to listen to anything, and then defeats
exactly.
So it's where I got a spreadsheet because I've bought so many albums twice by accident. I just made the spreadsheet. I got it all logged. I'm a little bit anal about all that, but I feel like I got to be.
Nice.
Unfortunately, I got to run. I got to get some work done before midnight. That's due at the deadline. But thank you for having me. I don't want to cut anything short for y'all, but I have to bounce, unfortunately.
We understand, man. Thank you for spending time with us tonight.
Oh, yeah.
It's great to meet you.
See you later, bro.
I appreciate it.
See you, Hudson.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, it is getting late for you guys, isn't it? All right.
Let's do the Fast Five. The Fast
Hudson's
Five.
gonna miss the fun part.
The Furious Five is actually what we started calling it. Just some goofy questions, guys. We like to end it with a few laughs. We like people to relate to you guys, on a personal level too, so that when they're hanging out at the show, they want to come to the merch table, chill with y'all, say what's up, get to know a little bit more about y'all, or, hey, y'all like the same cereal or something. And so it's like, hey, I like Lucky Charms too, and then it's like, hey. So just to, keep the love for metal rolling.
Yeah. Yeah. Or Lucky Charms.
Or Lucky Charms, yeah. So 5 questions. We'll go through one question through everybody, and the second question, and so on. We can talk as much about one or as little. Sometimes it's one answer. Sometimes we talk just a little bit, but I call them the Furious Five. We originally called them the Fast Five, but they weren't always fast.
Yeah.
But who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
Jumping in the deep end. Go for it.
All right. Question 1. Would you rather eat one thing for the rest of your life or never eat the same thing twice?
I'd rather eat the same one. I'd rather do the first thing.
What would you choose then?
If I had to eat the same thing all the time,
Yeah, you can choose.
would I die from obesity like after eating this?
No, you're immune to obesity.
Because I mean, it's not going to be healthy. But
That's okay.
it's either going to be pasta, some sort of pasta, or lamb over rice from the halal guy over there, the street meat guy that's near my apartment. Actually, that's the best. And as a Italian / Arab, I cover both bases right there. So that's what, either or. Probably the pasta though. I'd probably do the pasta every day. Spaghetti, some sort of pasta. Yeah.
Love it. What do you like, red sauce?
Yeah, good sauce, good sauce, and pecorino romano, some cheese. I like that better than Parmesan. So I do like some Parm, but pecorino romano that's a good cheese for me, and so it's a nice sauce. Yeah.
I'm going to remember the Romano cheese, and we're going to use that instead of Parmesan next time, if I can find it.
Pecorino romano, if you can find it. Yeah, your supermarkets will probably have it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. These Oklahoma boys down here, they might not even know what that word means. You know what I'm saying?
Like, you got that Italian cheese? And
Yeah.
like, oh, shit.
So here's what's funny. My mom would say Italian, and I would be like, Mom, it's not Italy. It's Italy. Let's just call it Italian dressing. Oh, all right. Let's see. Who wants to be number 2? Terrell? Oh, Will, volunteer. What do you choose, my man? One thing for the rest of your life, or never the same thing again? Or twice, I mean.
I never the same thing twice, because eventually you'll hit on some good things.
Yeah, you're going to take your chance and just know that you would rather get to where you might like your meal versus knowing that you're never going to like it again because you're like, I'm sick of spaghetti, Rick.
I don't know. I've never gotten sick of it once, but I could see that happening maybe.
I hate to make this joke. I hate to make the dad joke, but that's why I'm not married. That's why.
What's around?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Maybe I'd say if I had to pick one thing, it would be rice and peas, which is more akin to rice and beans. That's what they call it in the Caribbean. It's just basic, starch and protein. But really, the clever answer is just to pick something that's not the same every time, because there's going to be variations of something that you like that are just slightly different. Hopefully that counts. So if that counts,
Yeah.
that's my.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, just to have something a little slightly different. I always say sometimes it's exciting because I'll eat the same food maybe like 2 different ways, or there'll be like more than one way to kind of prepare it. Like we talked before about like chili, and some people like beans in their chili and some people don't. And I'm like, well, that's just 2 ways that I got to make chili now, and I like them both. So it's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like beans, so I'm not a big chili guy. It's unfortunate.
Well, so here's something that might blow your mind, man. In Texas, like what they call Texas chili, I'm not saying everybody in Texas makes chili without beans, but if you look up Texas chili, no beans.
I will look into that. Terrell
And then-
just something happened to Terrell. It looks like.
Oh, sorry about that. Rice
There
and
we go.
peas, if not, you can have micro variations of the same thing every time. That's the way to go.
It's very true.
Absolutely. And I had rice and peas whenever I went to the Bahamas, and I dug it, man. I was like, give me some more of that, I think it was,
you can eat it all day.
I think we went to some lady down there who was like just making Jamaican food out of the hut. She had like some hut, and she had some kid working with her, and she's hollering at him all the time. Like, hurry up, come on.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Uh-huh. It was great, though.
All right. Question
All right.
2. All right, Rick.
Go ahead. Yep.
What was your favorite subject in school?
History.
Any kind of history in particular?
Baseball history. I can answer that for Rick.
That I did. Didn't teach that in school, but I did follow up. I did know a lot about that. This is the American history I loved, and all sorts of history. I read biographies to this day, and things like that. So history always interested me.
All right. Will? Favorite subject in school?
English, easy. Yeah, I was always, not like I worked for it, so I can't like brag or be proud of it. Reading just always came easy to me. And I always like writing and all that stuff. And nowadays I get that energy out with the lyrics for the bands and stuff. So again, it's just something that kind of came easy to me at a young age. I've always been terrible at math. I did flunk other like more practical classes. So I'm not trying to flex, but yeah, definitely like any like writing or reading class.
All right.
I could see that being a skill and a valuable one in your spot.
Terrell,
Yeah.
what was your
Yeah,
favorite?
it's-
What was your favorite subject?
I'd say math. I have to just be
Hell
honest.
yeah,
It's,
that was his favorite subject.
And ultimately, you don't have to write that much. Not that I can't, just
Except for when you
it's
gotta show your
engineering
work.
to stop writing essays and shit.
Interesting.
You've heard of them word
Engineering.
problems?
Yeah, I see. I can. So I mean, look, I like numbers, but I can read. I can still read.
No,
For
I
some
get it.
reason, I believe you. I just,
the caller makes more sense now, man. You're an engineer, dude.
That was just me presenting to the interns. I had to look cool, like not unk, as the kids say.
Oh, I know, man. I know, right? I used to work in banking, and I always had to dress up, and I liked banking. I mean, I worked there for like 15 years, but then I got a job working for a company that makes guitar pedals, and so now I'm like, I get to grow my hair out. I get to wear band shirts every day, and so it's a little bit different than the way it used to be, but I love it.
Yeah, when it's Christmas time, that's when I could sneak in my dripping sweater because it's like red and white. It looks a little festive. But it's the rare occasions I can pull those in.
That's right. Yeah. I thought this was Casual Friday. Saving Silverman, Brandon, you remember that?
Oh, I remember Saving Silverman.
Did you guys ever see Saving Silverman?
I never saw that. No.
All right, so Jack Black's wearing his like chicken outfit, and they kidnap a girl, and the guy says, "Just wear your chicken outfit, and she won't know who we are." And he's like, "Well, what am I going to wear to Casual Friday?" Anyway.
Jack Black.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
that movie is hilarious. It's Jack Black and Steve Zahn and Jason. Is it Biggs? Jason Biggs, but
Yeah,
like the
Jason
American
Biggs.
Pie guy. But Steve Zahn and Jack Black in that play off each other so freaking well, man. Like it's hilarious.
And I'd say Steve Zahn.
Steve
Sure.
Zahn, whatever it is.
Tomato, tomato. Never met him. So, all right, what are we on? Are we on question 3? All right, Rick. What is the coolest trip you've ever taken?
I went to Egypt, and I went to the Great Pyramids and all that stuff. Yeah, to Sphinx. That was the coolest one. Followed by, I went to Peru. I went to Machu Picchu. So that would be 1A. Those are the two.
Those are good trips.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What about it, Will? How about you?
The easy way out here is Milwaukee Metal Fest, the year 2000. I was 18 years old, and a friend who was a few years older drove us from New York to Milwaukee, which I now realize how crazy a drive that was. And it was my first real road trip as a quote unquote adult. And it was my first like real big Metal Fest experience. So that it was just sick, man. And there was a lot of really big artists that played that year, but I was super focused on the United Guttural stage with bands like Flesh Grind and Mortal Decay played. I saw Cephalic Carnage there, Dying Fetus, Flesh Ties. I was really hyper focused on underground death metal and probably missed a lot of really great like bigger artists on the main stage, but it was a great time. That was a cool trip, man.
That's badass.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Terrell.
He better be back.
So I had a similar kind of adventure. Will, was it 2005 or 7? I think it was 2007. I went to Maryland Death Fest 5, and me and a buddy, we drove there from Oklahoma City, like to Baltimore, and went to Maryland Death Fest, and that shit was badass. Like Brutal Truth, I think, had like just kind of come out of a long hiatus and was like starting to do stuff again. I think Pig Destroyer was there, Ghoul, Hemorrhage. Like, man, it was just Insect Warfare played. That was really cool. So that was a long drive to go to a metal fest too. So that's awesome.
Like, I also drove to that 2000 Metal Fest. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I played that show. So I drove there.
Yeah, Rick and I were both there, but we didn't know each other yet.
No, it's years before we met.
That's awesome. Small world, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So please forgive me because my thing froze. What was the question?
Where is the coolest trip you've ever been on?
Coolest trip? Damn. I'll just pick my most recent trip. I went to Spain last year. That was my first time ever in Europe. If you're a fan of pork, Spain has awesome pork. Like great pork. Food, great vibes. Hate to be cliche, but they say like sometimes you have food over there and you don't feel like shit. I did not feel like shit eating completely new food to me. It was kind of good to get some perspective going out there. And I went both to Madrid and Barcelona, and it was a cool experience. The flight kind of sucked, but that takes getting used to.
Yes, were you in coach? Economy seating?
Yeah, you know how it goes.
Yeah, that's a long flight, man. Well, that sounds like a pretty awesome trip, man. You guys have all done some pretty kick-ass trips. Love it.
I was gonna say, y'all some travelers, man.
Not in a long time. I haven't gone away in a long time. And I'm kind of, like I said, the only really place I really am looking forward to going still would be Italy and maybe Scandinavia. If I can go to Norway or Sweden. That's about it. But those are still on the bucket list. I'd like to go see my paisans in Italy, see how they're doing. How you doing, boys? And that's about it.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Question 4.
All right. Rick, you ready?
Yes.
If you could have one song play every time you walk in a room, what would it be?
You Got the Touch. The song from Transformers the movie.
Yes.
And then
Nice.
Marky Mark covered that in Boogie Nights. But yeah, that's all.
That's great.
Yeah, that's a sick song. Hell yeah.
All right, Will.
Actually, I think it's just called The Touch.
No
And
fun.
it's by Stan Bush.
The Touch.
I don't know. That's a tough one, man. What's the silliest thing that I could think of at the moment? I'm trying to think. Maybe burning down the house by the Talking Heads.
Burning down the house. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just like I'll sell it with like a really intense look on my face and a silly like David Byrne like dance.
You have to walk to the rhythm of the song, like walk in to the beat.
Yeah,
That's how I picture it.
like
And
shuffling,
there's a certain
like but like you're on site.
there's like a certain kind of swag you got to carry to that song.
Yeah, but I won't carry that. That's the funny part is I will not be carrying that swag at all. It's gonna be, it's gonna be embarrassing.
You might be right. That might give it the golden touch.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrell.
Yeah, this is tough. I figured to tie it all together to the what is it, the smooth brutality thing. I had to think of two. Defeated Sanity, Introitus, first song off of Chapters. It's the instrumental track. It's kind of this brooding little short. It's short, it's brooding, it's heavy, it's cool, brutal. The other song, Sade, Kiss of Life. There's the smooth side. They're both dark artists. Two of my favorite artists. That's it.
Way to answer that question.
Yeah, I thought Smooth Operator, but I was like, God, that's too fucking cheeky. So I said, let's go even cheekier. Kiss of Life.
I like it. You had two sides to the answer, man. That's another fun thing about doing these questions is even though they're silly, just seeing how people answer them, you get just another idea of the personality and everything. And that's what's cool about metal is we all, love and support one another is basically what it boils down to. And that's how the community carries itself through. So, anyway, it's cool to get to see all those things shine through, man. I love it. That's like one of my favorite things. All right, y'all. We're getting tired. Question 5. Hang in there. We're almost there. All right, Rick. If you could time travel, would you go to the past or the future?
The past.
All right. Why?
For a baseball game?
Because the fantasy and it came to fruition in Back to the Future Part 2 is you can go back and you can make wagers. You can bet, you could do things and change, like, oh, I'll go back to 1984 and here's $10,000, Bill Gates or whatever, 1978 rather, here's $10,000, Steve Jobs, so,
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's the first thing I think of. And then, and then you just live in the 70s as like a sick, like rich dude, like, like getting there and, it'd have been awesome.
You could start death metal before death metal. You know what
like
I'm saying?
if you go back, obviously knowing what you know now, you could just be like, oh, Dave Mustaine, who are you? And then you could start like Megadeth or, you could do some sick shit.
You could like jump him. Yeah, you could jump him on the bus and, take the name.
Yeah, you can do that. Or I would just go back to tell Cliff Burton, don't get on the bus that night. Because that would be my thing. Because I never want... He was like my favorite guy, and he died. That was bad. But...
So we asked, it was either whenever we were talking with Wormflesh or we were talking with Catholic, because it was Mitch but we asked a similar question, not the same way, but he said he would love, I think we said if you could go back to any time, what would it be? And he said he would go back to save Dimebag. And I was like, oh, dude, what a great way to use that wish.
You got to go prepared. That dude came with, he had a shotgun, right? He had what did he have, shotgun? Was it?
No, I think he lost his life to the shotgun. That cop came in and blew him up. Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
But I think he would, I mean, you're right. That would not be an easy thing to stop.
Crazy.
All right.
Think about it, man.
I know. All right, Will, what do you got? Past or future?
I don't know, man. The future's too scary. The past, like, not too far back. Like, just live an incognito life somehow in like in the 80s to 90s, and like die before the year 2000. I have a theory that like the best time to be alive was probably like to live and have some sort of like civil service job where you retire with a pension and then die as an old person before 9/11 happened. That's the ideal New York life. Am I wrong, guys? If you're from New York,
you're not wrong.
I mean,
Everything changed.
Things are very different. Things are very different. And yeah, if you go,
so that's where I'm at. Sorry to be depressing.
No, I mean, if you choose the future and you say, "Oh, I'll even go 50 years into the future," how do you know you're not going into like some fucking 130-degree temperature like reality? You know what I'm saying?
Like in Wasteland.
Who knows? At least you know what you're getting 50 years ago.
Who knows what
you know? Yeah, seriously.
Man, there was one of those old shows, and it wasn't the Twilight Zone, but it was one like that.
Tales from the Dark Side.
No,
Something
but it was
like that. I know.
I'll think, but yeah, but it was about a guy who, he stole a whole bunch of gold, and he basically like killed all of his buddies, that he did the heist with, so that he could have all the gold himself. And he had this time travel device. Well, he time traveled, and whenever he did, he was like, I have all this gold. And they were like, yeah, that's not worth anything. Why would you even try to? And so like the paradox or whatever was that he like sold out everybody he loved and everything for this gold that was just worthless in the time period he ran away to. So yeah, Rick, just like you said,
Yeah, it's cool. I wonder if that was Tales from the Crypt. There was a lot of shows like that. There was some cool like Twilight Zone shows.
This was like that Rod Sterling.
The guy that did Twilight Zone.
No, maybe it wasn't Rod Sterling. Alfred Hitchcock. It was Hitchcock. That's who it was.
Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
Yes.
They would do a thing in the 80s.
Yeah, that was what it was. Yeah, because Rod Sterling was the Twilight Zone. My bad. All right.
Yeah. I'm going with the past just to do the cliche, not going that far back, but coming back with knowledge of the future. I don't know if I have much incentives to come back to America at a certain point in time, but I agree. Future's scary, but there's something about having the knowledge of the near future, whether it's like news, money related, and obviously I wouldn't like be extravagant, just kind of set myself up even better. Yeah,
it's enough to have a good time with.
Yeah, I know it's boring, but like
I just want to be comfortable.
the only thing.
You know what I mean?
That's it.
Let's go back like 3 years, invest in GameStop.
The meme stock.
And make sure you sell it at the right time.
Yeah, sell it when it hit 400.
Right. Yeah. Well, hey guys, freaking silly questions. I know the Furious 5, there you have it. Stuff. And we got a chance to know y'all a little bit better, and Reeking Aura, like family now. So everybody out there, make sure you're checking them out, listening to the brutal metal that they put out, the soothing brutality, the recurring theme that we like to, say for tonight. And if you haven't heard them, guys, you're missing out. You're really missing out. So just go listen like now. And we appreciate you checking out the show. Guys, thanks for being here.
Man.
Yeah, man. And you know what? We're so grateful for y'all, and we just want you to know that if there's anything we can do to continue to support you, let us know. Make sure that you stay in touch, because we like to say what you post, we post. Now we're going to do our best to make sure we share that with everybody else, and if there's anything we
Appreciate
can do, yeah,
Thank you
man,
very
we're
much.
here for y'all.
It's awesome. Thanks for the support.
Thanks,
A
man.
lot.
Thank you.
Uh,
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You know what they say, you can't pick your family. So congratulations. You're in the Metal Block family, whether you want to be or not. So welcome.
Take it. We'll take it.
Thank you guys very much for joining us. Thank you for the killer music. Keep up what you guys are doing. And when you have a chance, come play in Houston. I want to come see, I want to see you guys. So
Yeah, tell them to set up the Astrodome. We'll play the Astrodome.
I'm gonna work on that.
That's what I'm talking about, man. I'll be
We'll
there.
play the parking lot. Whatever.
Yeah, man. That's the best party. Is the parking lot party, isn't it?
Hell yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
All right, everybody out there, don't forget to listen to some brutal, brutal music. Until next time, Metal Block over and out.